So today I will be talking about what would be the landscape of manufacturing, what has happened in last few hundred years, what do we envisage in next few decades, and how various industries are looking forward to embrace the changes that we are having as of now. So I am Shailendra Singh. I started my career from the automobile shop floor, rose to the rank, became a plant head, and then moved to different functions in sales and marketing, as well as in different functions of procurement and other things. Today I lead a 3,000 people team of after sales business across the country and various over 80 plus countries, and this is almost a 1.5 US billion dollar business as of now, and growing at a significant rate. So when I was exploring, in fact, one of my alma mater, we have Professor Robert Shiller, as some of you may know. Robert Shiller is the Nobel laureate of 2013 in economics. He was one of my faculty and a top consultant. And one of his peer group, Professor Hiroshi Kano, who was the managing director and CEO of Boston Consulting in Tokyo, they were doing some work, and they were trying to explore what is going to happen in manufacturing in next 25 years. And as you may know, Robert Schiller's work has been derived primarily from the paradigm of what happens in contracts in finance domain, that is in future contracts and other things. It will be very interesting to note that manufacturing is going, the technology change that is happening in manufacturing is at a lag of around 300 to 400 years to what has happened in finance. And I will share some inputs why it is happening and how it is happening. But the important thing to note here is, when these guys were exploring this, one of the some key inputs came about, and these key inputs are captured in these 5 mega trends. And of course, we know about most of things, and I have seen from the structure of the program today that many of these things would be covered. But there are few points that I would like to point out here. For example, let us look at cyber security. So many of our systems are interconnected, but still we saw what happened almost a few weeks back. In fact, even in India, many of the industries were hit by various cyber security issues all across, and their supply chain were completely disrupted for an extended period of time of few hours. And as you would know that in automobile manufacturing, for example, a car is manufactured every 15 seconds or 10 seconds. So if there is a disruption of few hours, what would be the impact? Keeping that in mind, if you look at these 5 mega trends which has been significant, we find out that most of the organizations are trying out digital measures. They are going ahead with some significant customer measures. And what it does is, it puts a lot of pressure on manufacturing. Many of you would have really, sweated out on the automobile or in different industry shop floor, and you would have realized, and we all would have faced, that somehow the manufacturing remains at the back end of the overall value chain, and the ability to adapt to the changing customer adaptation is not very easy. And that is why we go ahead with lot of digitization. We try to decouple and take care of the bullwhip effect, do many measures which is happening across the industry, which has led to things like supply chain resilience. For example, sometime back, almost a year, 1.5 years, 2 years back, there was a disruption related to semiconductors across the industry. So somebody in for example, in white good industry, they went ahead to buy semiconductors at a exceeded pace and at exorbitant cost, which led other industries to be impacted. And because of that, some industries were significantly impacted, but some were able to respond very quickly to that. And that is why you will see there are some good organizations in India also who were not impacted significantly because of this. And they worked out some collaborative supply chain mechanism by which even the semiconductor output, which was constrained at a period of time, was also taken care of, which you people are aware of. But I will share these things through certain examples and case studies to summarize how perhaps this may be deliberated in this conference in coming in the coming hours. Very interesting concept here is that, you know, when Schiller and Nonaka and Ichijo were discussing about it, they found out that the agriculture produced, for example, the rice produced or the wheat produced, primarily that was the manufacturing for an extended period of time. But who earned money? Who was able to make money out of it? If you look at the history, you will find that in 1690, the first derivative exchange was formed in Osaka, in Japan. And this place is called Dojima. And at Dojima, they started the first concept of future contracts. So what they did was, you fix up the price of the rice produced in Japan and some of the countries across, and would be able to predict what would be the price after 3 months, 6 months, and would do a future contract with that, with some level of risk appetite. Those type of instruments came, and you will find out that these instruments were primarily derived from a very simple story which has been explained a number of times in these discussions, in financial discussions. So if you happen to join one of the typical hardcore merchant banking or investment banking forums or discussion like this, they will always talk about the story of the squirrel. And what happens is, for example, back in my backyard also and in my lawn, you will find that squirrels will be digging up the sand, and they do not hibernate the way deer or other animals do, but they do go for a level of low metabolism. So that means their heart rate will go down, their activity will go down, they will go for a sleep for 6 to 7 hours. And similarly, during the winters, they would need to go at a slower rate as compared to summer. So they need to store. And where do they store? They store in your backyard, in your lawns. And they would store into your grass, just below it, around half centimeter below or 2 centimeter below. And these storage mechanisms were done in a mechanism which we call as, we can call as the warehousing concept that was followed in Dojima. So there is a rectangular methodology they follow. They store a particular quantity, and the inventory management is also done by them. I hope we all know that squirrels are pretty intelligent creatures, and they can remember over few days and few months also where they have kept. So they don't know exactly where the inventory has been kept. And based on this concept, they started this. They derived these various financial instruments, which for example we considered future contracts and the backyard contracts. Later on, today of course many of you would be doing the options also, the call and put options, which are further derived from this. But it all started in 1690 out there. And what they did was, they started working upon rice and wheat derivatives first. And for doing this, a lot of technology was involved. It required projections, forecasting. And this forecasting was very typical and systematic. So the forecasting that we do today, for example, when we want to do forecast for the manufacturing for next 6 years, we will go for various type of forecasting, like in today's technology, like exponential smoothing, double exponential smoothing, with different delta factors, seasonality, cyclicity, and other things. But that all has been done already 300, 400 years ago in the financial domain. So what is the learning? Learning is that since they have already done it, a lot of machine learning has also gone into this financial domain. There is a trend that has been followed, and that trend is almost with a 300, 400 years lag. Those type of concepts are catching up in manufacturing also. I hope we remember that the game theory that has been worked out by John Nash. You would have seen the movie, for example, To Make It Simple, The Beautiful Mind, where John Nash conceptualized the concept of game theory, which is what happens in the stock exchange as of now. One wins, other loses. So there are different combinations there. That concept, with the help of machine learning, has also been captured as a 0-1 binary setups in various manufacturing setups as of now. So what is happening? When generative AI comes, what will happen to for example, the manufacturing guys? What will they do? what is going to be their future. So it will happen exactly, almost exactly the same way the study shows, and there has been some the consulting outputs also lately on this from McKinsey's or Boston Consulting's and others, which shows that there has been a lag, but the trend would be almost same. So generative AI will do a game-changing activity in our domain in manufacturing as of now, and how it will impact we will very shortly cover in next few minutes. And to take it further, I would like to put up 6-7 case studies. And these 6-7 case studies are what has happened till now. For example, the first activity that I would like to talk about is especially related to some leading automobile companies. And they were facing some very typical supply chain disruptions due to natural disasters or other things. So you find that due to rain, the vehicles will get submerged, and you cannot completely predict, even though you may have the best forecast available, best techniques available, but it is very difficult to sometimes produce that. So what they did was they worked out a methodology or a projection mechanism and a supply mechanism which is completely integrated with the manufacturing to reduce the lead time. And this lead time has been broken in such a way that it becomes almost real time for some of the automobile companies. For example, I would draw a parallel to finance domain. So today, when you buy a stock, there is almost a daily trade delivery on that day itself. So cash delivery on that day. If you remember, almost 60-70 years back, what they used to do on the floor would be, at the end of the day, they would need to stop the trading. How they would do? There used to be a concept called waterman. So somebody would come up, they would light a fire, and he would move around like this on the stock exchange. If you have seen that, they will move around, and at exactly at 3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. when it was supposed to be stopped, they will start putting up water all across to extinguish that fire, and the water would be put even on the traders. So people would run away from the floor. This is how the stock exchange was stopped at that time at 3:30 p.m. And today it stops at the click of a button. Same is happening in manufacturing also. If you look at the vehicle tracking system or the different technologies which are coming up, for example, even in chemical industry, which I will show very shortly, it shows that there has been a significant way by which you have reduced the lead time, worked out the solution for the bullwhip effect, and seen that the lead times are decreasing, which ensures that the supply chain disruptions are also coming down. Second example, I will take the Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company. And here also, they went ahead with this implementation of AI and IoT to a significant level to optimize their production capability. So what they did was, they were able to integrate the whole system, and some of the systems were learning on their own. So for example, the supply from one of the assembly operation to the another operation when there was a changeover. At that time it was done automatically because the machine was able to learn and understand that this changeover is going to happen in next 15 minutes. So the next die will come or the next fixture will be available exactly at the right time. And I was amazed to see some of these operations that how they are able to predict considering the customer requirement at the other end. So they were saying that this will go for example Lenovo, this will go to for example Tesla, but they were able to do a changeover in half the time that they were doing earlier. So their processes were improving and their efficiency were increasing, as mentioned here, to almost 20%, and defects were also reducing. Another example about the chemical industry. As you may know that the chemical industry has remained like almost same for a long period of time, and the change has been not very much. All the processes have remained almost same, of course with some level of integration, but you will see that some of these organizations are now going ahead with implementation of lean and working on employee engagement and other things to see that their efficiencies are also improving. I picked up this from the Dow Chemicals annual report also, and they talked about at length in various ways how they have done it. Consider ExxonMobil, another example where they have worked upon eco-friendly paints and coatings by reducing VOCs. So there was a customer requirement that when they paint their houses, the smell will remain for a day, 2 days, or at least few hours. So they came ahead with this low VOC content outputs by which even if you paint your houses it will be odorless in a very short period of time. How they did it and how they reduced the lead time for manufacturing different type of SKUs in combination was something that we could learn from companies like ExxonMobil. Tesla, we always talk about how they transformed the manufacturing process, but the important thing is how they invested on the cycle time to improve the battery efficiency. So as you would know now that most of the electric vehicles efficiency improves by the software updation for their vehicle. So for example, the same Tata Motors vehicle can improve their total kilometers run up by a particular vehicle just by software updation. So many of the vehicles are doing this. Tesla has done that, and that is why they have been able to improve their efficiencies across the world. Intel, how they worked upon on R&D is, earlier there used to be a 3-layer chip, then 6-layer, 12 layers, and they were able to coat different level of layers on the same semiconductors, and the wafers were made in such a way that their manufacturing process were actually becoming shorter and the lead time were becoming shorter. BASF, another example where they worked about an improvement in quality improvements, again through focusing on some process improvement using this IoT and AOT. Similarly, PPG. So in essence, what I would like to point out is that there are 3 things that we would need to focus upon. We need to conquer the challenges. So there are many challenges which are coming. We need to transform the technologies available. So technologies are already available. The people will come that one company has this type of assembly, it can completely integrate the system. The ERP is available, it can integrate your whole value chain. But how you are going to use it? Second is how you are going to work on succeeding on innovation, which will ensure that you will be able to reduce the lead time, improve the efficiencies and profit efficiencies. Different examples that I showed here have been captured in some of the publications. For example, this is one of my book where we captured some of these examples in a significant way, especially considering the aerospace and the automobile industry. But the important point to note here is that these technology changes or the new processes that are coming across the industry now are game changer. But their adaptability is a big challenge, and therefore it would be pertinent on our behalf to understand whether we will be able to adopt it in the right way or not. I think that's all from my side. Thank you.